Uh, Today is a nothing day. Well, we're gonna do something eventually, obviously, probably go shopping. But it's 10:38 and I'm still in my pajamas. And I'm just editing, because editing is fun. Lol jokes. It's boring as hell and the tassel just flew in front of the lens. Ah!
What disappointment, you guys, for making me want to do that, try and make me do this.
Just because I'm in another country does not mean I can't watch the things that make me happy in life. I know this is weird, but just here we have the pub that Mum's grandparents, so my great grandparents used to own. So it's like a little bit of family history. We went in there just before because Jean knows the owners and they're really sweet. It's just a really cute little pub. Super cute, isn't it, Mum?
It is.
It is. She's taking snaps. The Blue Anchor, get on it. What are we doing? We're now walking around Whitechapel? Whitechapel, yes. Because
where the Ripper did all his murders. It's predominantly a Bangladeshi Indian area of the side streets with all their fantastic restaurants.
Indian.
I wonder how many people are going to be on the tour.
And we're just waiting for the Jack the Ripper tour. Which sounds like a good time. Kind of scary. This should be fun. Oh, helicopter.
Cool. Alright guys, I'd like to welcome everybody to Whitechapel. My name is Mick. I'm going to be your tour guide this evening. Everyone say hi, Mick.
Hi, Mick.
I do that every day. It never gets old. Now for the next couple of hours or so, what I'd like to do is take everybody back to 1888. Victorian London, if you prefer, when things were very different around. At 20 to 4 that morning on Bucks Row, which is now called Durwood Street. It's about 2/3 of a mile that way, directly behind Whitechapel Tube Station. It's a spot we don't go to on the tour, or we'd be here all night in it. She was first found by two guys making the way to work. A guy called Charles Cross and a guy called Robert Paul. They get closer, they realise it's a woman, but even then, they're not worried. Maybe she's drunk, homeless, sleeping in the street. No big deal. You see this all the time. They make their way onto work, but then a policeman gets there, and he's got a bullseye lamp, and he notices something nobody else has seen so far. You see, she's not just drunk and sleeping in the street. She has, in fact, been murdered. Dr. Phillips would state that the murder of Mary Ann Nichols was unique, if you like, in the entire series of events we're going to investigate this evening, and for one particularly disgusting reason. You see, once they got the body back to the mortuary on Old Montague Street, just behind these buildings here, and the clothes were taken off, Dr. Phillips noticed something nobody else had seen so far. You see, she hadn't just had a throat cut, she had in fact been partly eviscerated. Now, for those who are unfamiliar with the term, we're going to learn a new word tonight. You see, it means somebody had cut her from here all the way up to her rib cage, had pulled open her stomach, and a length of her intestines were hanging out underneath the dress when she was found in the street. But that's not the reason she's unique, you see. Dr. Phillips would state that in this one murder, and this one murder alone, the fatal injury to her throat had actually been performed after the mutilations to her abdomen, severing her left carotid artery, orphaning her children, and spraying blood 3 feet to the left onto the fence separating the yard from 27, and 3 feet behind onto the back wall of the house. With this done, the killer went through her pockets, and we know this is when he did it because there was no blood ever found on these objects, which would otherwise seem an impossibility with what was about to follow. Now, everything she owned in the world was arranged in a pile at the bottom of her feet. We have some good news. You wouldn't think we do. We have some great news. Look at this. Leather Apron has been arrested. Whew. Thank God for that, eh? Finally, these horrible murders will stop. We can all go back to our daily life. 3 men would report seeing a man leaning against the far right corner, as we can see it from here, talking to Catherine Eddowes, who had a hand on the man's chest, but not as if she meant to push him away. Whoever that was, despite walking within 9 to 10 feet of the pair, the 3 men would all state that they were talking so quietly they were unable to hear a word that was being said. It's worth pointing out as well that this wasn't that long ago. You see, it was 1888, it was Victorian London, 126 years ago, that kind of thing. To put things into perspective, the Tube, the London Underground train system that I'm sure you've all inevitably took to get here this evening, first opened in 1863. It had been up and running for 25 years before this guy came along. This doorway here is better known today as the entrance of the Happy Days fish shop. But the story of what happened here on Goulston Street actually begins at 2:20 that morning. Passes this doorway and this time finds the missing part of Catherine's dress covered in blood lying right here in the entrance of the Happy Days fish shop. You'll notice it's addressed as being From Hell. Might give you an idea as to where Johnny Depp gets his film titles from. But you'll notice on the first 3 or 4 lines there are blurry, smudgy marks on the page. It's because this letter turned up wrapped around half of a human kidney. It says, Mr. Lusk, sir, I send you half the kidney I took from one woman, preserved it for you. The other piece I fried and ate. It was very nice. Time I tried to sneak anybody into Dorset Street, a very large gentleman in a suit appeared, told me to bugger off and never come back. So, this is as close as we can get to Dorset Street. The Daily Mail in 1901 wrote an article about this street, referring to it as the worst street in London. The second door on your right to number 13, which is where Mary Kelly was staying on the night she died. Now, Mary Kelly is the second of the 2 of the 6 victims, 5 victims I'm talking about this evening, who was not English. Where was she from? Ireland. She was indeed. She was also 25 years old. On the 9th of November 1888, it really does show the mutilated body of Mary Kelly lying on the bed exactly as the police found it. It's a very early surviving example of crime scene photography. It is easily, far and away, by a mile, the worst photograph I've shown you all evening. So, if anybody doesn't want to see things like this, you really are going to want to look the other way. You ready for this? Ribs were not broken, the heart was absent, and was never recovered here at the crime scene. That means whoever did this, he really... The big question, of course, being who the bloody hell was Jack the Ripper? Who was it when strolling around the East End here doing these things to people, really did get away with it, really did take the secret with him to his grave? Does anybody want to take a stab at it? That is Jack the Ripper. Wearing the top hat that we know he didn't wear, wearing the long and expensive coat that he almost certainly couldn't have afforded, and strolling casually from the scene, which he probably wasn't doing. It kind of looks like he's got one leg on there as well. He's hopping casually from the scene.
The Jack the Ripper tour. It's a good time.
Yeah, it was.
Our tour guide was killer because he had double stretchers, not just one stretcher. Yeah.
He was excellent, very detailed.
Really good.
Yeah.
So now we're just in a little pub, which we spent half our time here in little pubs, and I'm not complaining because I get lots of Coke, and who doesn't love soft drink? Soft drink is great. But I'm super tired, so keen to get on the tube. Practically.
Night for now.
Night for now.